出力開始 50%、80%、充填完了。行きます。
Alright, what is going on, guys? SpitefulHopes back again, coming at you with a video that honestly I didn't even know this was a thing until I actually looked deeper into it. I'm sure that there are some people that found out about it, etc., but I'm sure that there's also a lot of people that don't particularly care about the information. This is going to be about number crunching and just min-maxing damage. I understand that it's not really necessary, so I understand if y'all want to click off, but I do want to talk about this skill that a lot of these characters nowadays have been given. Characters like Ishin, characters like... trying to make sure that I get this right. Nemu got it, as well as... Did Furuka get... I don't remember if Furuka got it or not. I'm trying to... It's the people that give Berserker to people. I know Shinji got it, Kirinji got it. Okay, so this is exactly what I'm talking about. So, going into these characters, you have Ishin with the team, party, speed, attribute, captain, strong attack, damage, plus 20%. How we've interpreted this, or at least how I've been interpreting this, has been wrong. This is not Berserker 40%. This is not strong attack damage plus 40% when you include Berserker. This is straight up a damage multiplier. And I didn't understand how... I didn't understand it until... actually, literally this morning, when my Nemu dealt 14,000 damage as opposed to Yoruichi's 10,000 damage. Now, a lot of people were bringing up, it's like, oh, but did you use Yoruichi's boost? Like, she'd be dealing more damage with the boost. And I'm like, no, why would I use the boost and invalidate the entire test? Because when you start adding more variables, obviously stuff's going to be different. Now, for example, who am I going? This is Ishin. Nemu. So if I go into Nemu and Yoruichi, you'll see here that I have them special 1 out of 5, and SP is 806. Yoruichi has a Berserker of 20%. Nemu has a Berserker of 20% plus increased strong attack damage to Tech Soul Reapers, right? She has 802 spiritual pressure, so a little bit less than Yoruichi's 806, literally only 4 points of spiritual pressure. However, when you go into the damage calculations of the numbers, when it's just raw damage, there's no variables besides, like, you know, the little differences in SP. It's nuanced damage multiplier. But if I go into the calculator, you'll see here that the calculator 5934, this is Nemu's damage. If the strong attack damage was calculated as Berserk, okay, just quickly break it down. What am I getting? I'm getting spam called. Like, bro, it's snowing. There's like 3 feet of snow outside. What the hell? All right. How we've been interpreting this was as if it was Berserker 40%. Now, Nemu has the 20 plus 20. Now, normally, we would get this much damage, right? We would get 120, because 100 times 1.2, the 20% strong attack damage for the Berserker. That's what we normally would calculate it. So 120 will be for Yoruichi. However, Nemu, if it was calculated at 140 as 1 times 1.4 for Berserker 40%, she would deal exactly, divided by 120, exactly 16.666667% more damage. And I thought about it and I'm like, okay, I mean, that makes sense. And I'm sure that this, the damage is pretty negligible. Like, if you just do 1.2, it's only 3.3% damage off, right? 3% damage might not mean like a lot to you, but that is actually the difference between a fortification pill and the 50% spiritual pressure based items, right? The godly gold item that everybody wants so much. So this is, I get that some like this is why I'm saying, like, it might not be important to a lot of people, but to me it's pretty important. But like, if I go into it, it's 1.16667% damage. So it's 16.67% damage. That's how much it should have been if it was Berserker 140%. However, since it's actually 144 divided by 120, that's exactly a 20% damage boost. So the increased strong attack damage to these specific units is independent from Berserker 20%, and this gets calculated during the actual quest, whichever quest you're doing, whether it be Inheritance Zone, Epic Raids, whatever, right? Because like Ishin, you'll see it as soon as you log in. You'll see increased strong attack damage to these particular characters. Now, going into the number crunching, you'll see here 5934 divided by Nemu's 4950. They have the same magnification, nearly the same SP, right? 4950, and I got 19.87% damage. Very, very close. Like, literally 1.3%, no, less than 1% damage. Literally 0.1% of a percent. Well, 10% of a percent, excuse me. So just keep that in mind. It's nearly 20% more damage. So increased strong attack damage to specific allies is actually a 20% damage boost. And I talked to a bunch of people, and we were the number crunching. I talked to a fucking nuclear scientist just because. I'm not joking. I actually talked to a nuclear scientist who's good with numbers just to make sure that everything's on par with each other. Now going into Ishin versus Lile Baro. Lile Baro has a Berserker of 40%, whereas Ishin has a Berserker of 20% plus 20% strong attack damage to captain allies. Right, and even though they're different elements, like different attributes, it doesn't matter because we're just testing raw numbers. We're not talking about attribute advantage. We're not talking about criticals. We're not talking about anything aside from just straight up raw damage. And that, to me, was really, really where stuff hit the mark. Now, they have literally nearly the exact same spiritual pressure, 1815. This is max transcended with no links, no nothing, versus 1803 spiritual pressure. So the spiritual pressure difference is literally 12. Okay, I guess we could do this. 12 of 1815. That's the difference. Literally 0.006 of a percent. 0.00 times 100. Literally less than 1%. Almost half a percent. Okay, so just keep that in mind when it comes to the damage. Now going into the actual damage numbers. When it comes down to Ishin, he deals a little bit more damage. Not much, but you'll see here it's 14,622 divided by 14,166. Max transcended. No links, no anything aside from just the straight up raw max transcended attack, SP, and focus, just to make sure that everything is literally as inflated as possible so that we can get the highest numbers that will lessen the variables, right? So boom, you'll see here that the damage difference between these two characters is 3.2%. Less than 1% difference in spiritual pressure will not account for 3.2% damage. And I'm sure there's like 10 people like, yo, Spite, it's 3% damage, shut the fuck up. But like, yo, this is kind of it's kind of a big deal. And the reason that it's a big deal to me personally is because since with the way that power creep is scaling up nowadays, power creep is going kind of crazy. This new hard guild quest, a lot of people can't clear it even when they have 3 of 5 to like 5. Actually, I know a bunch of people with 5 of 5 max transcended rookies that literally can't clear the new guild quest. And that's kind of interesting to me because this means to me that the power creep is going to be going crazy. The next update, the next boost to our characters will probably make this new hard guild quest relatively, I don't want to say easy, right? Because that's not the case. I'm sure that it'll be relatively doable without a crazy ton of effort to actually complete it with the next update of power-up characters. But this is important to me because if they start giving characters out with like Berserker 40% and then increase strong attack damage to Soul Reapers by 40%, that's a crazy freaking increase in terms of just raw damage. Now this 3.2%, considering that they would normally have, they should have roughly the same amount of damage. If this Ishin had Berserker 40%, he would have almost the same exact damage. This 3% would go down to like literally 0.00666% because of the difference of spiritual pressure, roughly. So that's kind of important to me because say a character gets 40% Berserker, he's going to get times 1.4, he's going to do 140% damage. This is what Lile Baro should be doing, right? However, if they also get plus 20% strong attack damage to Quincy's or Stern Ritters, etc., you're getting a times 1.6, and that will give you 224 damage instead of something like 200 damage. And that pretty much you would think like, oh, Berserker 100%, so like 100 times 2, if it was Berserker plus 100%, the multiplier is no longer 1.2, the Berserker 20, it's going to be times 2, so you would deal 200 damage. However, if you have these two stacking into each other, it's not going to be 200 damage. If it's calculating in a multiplicative way, you're dealing 25% more damage. Well, I mean, I guess it wouldn't be 25% because it would be 224 divided by 200. You're dealing 12% more damage, and 12% is pretty significant in the grand scheme of things. So if these characters start getting like Berserker 40% with increased strong attack damage plus 40%, you're starting to snowball into tons and tons and tons of damage, and that's pretty much what full stamina damage boost does. This increased strong attack damage is pretty much full stamina damage boost without the limitations of the damage boost. That's really, I don't know, it might not seem like a big deal to you guys, but for me, I feel like that's kind of significant. But I just wanted to bring this up to light because I do feel like this is kind of important, and I do want to bring this up to the community. I understand I just realized how long this video is, my bad, but I'm pretty excited about this because this means that this opens the door to a lot of customization and a lot of uniqueness in terms of trying to, it's like, oh, you know what, it's like this character, imagine we get a healer with a barrier that increases strong attack damage to, like, say, speed attribute hollow killers. Instead of limiting it to an affiliation, they just buff the entire party where they have advantage against. That could be really cool, and then that would actually stack into each other in terms of everything else. Now, my thought process is now I want to actually test this out. Oh no, you can't properly test this out. Oh, I need to do a lot of testing. Okay, that's going to be way too much work. What I want to know is, since this damage boost of strong attack damage plus 20% is being applied, what happens if you're running Ishin and Byakuya on, like, say, a third character? And Ishin Kirinji on, like, a third character like Byakuya. Is the damage, like, does the damage average to plus 44% damage, or does these two damage boosts stack into 40%? That's a question that I'm kind of interested in, but that's going to be for another time because that's going to make my head hurt. But I'm going to leave it at that. You guys grind on, catch up, stay blessed. I have to go shovel snow. We have like 2 feet of snow. I don't want to go outside. Y'all have a blessed day, and I'll see y'all on the next one. Peace.